In a world that is just buzzing with notifications and a million open tabs, real, honest-to-goodness concentration, it can feel like a lost art. But what if you could actually get it back? Well, that's what we're going to dive into. We're going to explore this modern attention crisis and uncover a really powerful solution called deep work.
Okay, let's kick things off with a number that probably feels a little too real. A study logged thousands of student computer sessions and found that a staggering 99% involves some kind of multitasking. Yep, almost every single one. We are just constantly switching, jumping from one thing to the next.
And we all kind of think we've adapted to it, right? That we're experts at juggling all these different tasks. But are we, really? This is one of the biggest myths about how our brains actually work. So let's see what the science has to say about it.
And this really brings us to the heart of the problem, what you could call the modern attention crisis. We are in a daily battle against distractions that are just sabotaging our ability to think clearly.
I mean, to put this crisis into perspective, just think about this. The average student reaches for their phone about 150 times every single day. And each one of those little checks, no matter how quick, it's like a tiny tear in the fabric of your focus.
And look, this isn't just some minor inconvenience. Decades of research are crystal clear on this. Media multitasking is consistently linked to lower GPAs, weaker test performance, and a pretty significant drop in reading comprehension. The cost to our learning is real, and it is absolutely measurable.
So, what is actually happening inside our brains when we try to do everything at once? Let's take a look at the cognitive science that proves, we're just not built for it.
So a brilliant way to understand this is something called the bottleneck theory. Just picture your attention as a really narrow passageway. Only one piece of information can squeeze through at a time. So what we call multitasking isn't doing two things at once, it's just switching back and forth really, really fast. And every single switch burns up precious mental energy.
Okay, but what about something that seems totally harmless, like studying with music playing? It's probably one of the most common forms of study multitasking. Well, a fascinating study looked at this exact scenario to see how it really affects our ability to learn. And this is where it gets really specific. The study found that pop music with lyrics definitely hurts your reading comprehension. But here's the kicker. The effect is way worse when the lyrics and the text you're reading are in the same language. Why? Because they're literally competing for the exact same processing channels in your brain. And, as you'd probably guess, the people who are hit the hardest are the ones who don't normally study with music. And look, this is not an isolated finding, not by a long shot. A huge review of decades of research found an overwhelming consensus. Study after study confirms that multitasking harms your GPA, your test performance, and even your ability to just manage your own study habits. The evidence, it's clear.
So here's the crucial point. There's a huge gap between how good we think we are at multitasking and how good we actually are. We feel like we're being super productive, but our performance, well, it tells a very different story.
All right, so if multitasking is the problem, what on earth is the answer? Well, it's a powerful concept called deep work. Think of it as a structured approach to focus that's basically an antidote to all this chaos and distraction.
This slide really draws a clear line in the sand. On one side, you have shallow work. That's kind of our default mode, right? Distracted, low intensity, feeling busy but not really being productive. And on the other side, you have deep work. It's the complete opposite. Fully focused, cognitively demanding, and it is where real learning and high-value creation actually happen.
So here's the official definition, which was popularized by the computer scientist Cal Newport. Deep work is all about pushing your brain in a state of pure, totally uninterrupted concentration. It isn't just about, avoiding social media for a bit. It's about creating an entire environment where you can perform at your absolute cognitive peak.
So what's actually going on under the hood when you do this? Well, when you work deeply, you're literally building faster, more efficient neural pathways through something called myelination. Think of it like upgrading the wiring in your brain. You also quiet down the part of your brain that's responsible for daydreaming, which creates the perfect conditions for that amazing flow state, where you are just completely absorbed and performing at your best.
Okay, so the theory sounds great, but how do you actually do it? Let's get practical. This is your playbook for building a deep work habit, and you can start today. So the standard Pomodoro technique is a pretty good start, but those 25-minute sprints can be a little too short for true deep work. This Pomodoro Plus method is all about building up your focus endurance. You start with a warm-up, then you push into a longer deep work block, and you include both mental and physical breaks to help your brain reset and really lock in what you've learned.
And your physical space, it's absolutely critical. Simple, science-backed tweaks can make a huge difference. Use bright, cool-tone light to stay alert, mask distracting sounds with some white noise, clear all the clutter off your desk, and try to keep the room slightly cool. You are basically engineering an environment for pure, undiluted focus.
Now, just as important as starting a deep work session is knowing how to end it properly. A shutdown ritual, where you maybe review your work and plan out your next steps, it basically tells your brain, okay, we're done for now. This lets you truly rest and recharge, and it prevents that nagging, lingering work anxiety.
And this isn't just about a short-term fix for your next exam. Making deep work a habit is about building a skill that gives you a compounding advantage for the rest of your life.
So why does all this matter? Well, because mastering deep work leads directly to academic excellence. It helps you build these incredibly valuable cognitive skills that are going to help you in any career you choose. And maybe most importantly, in a world that is just getting more and more distracted, the ability to focus, that is what will set you apart.
This quote just captures the idea perfectly. Deep work isn't just some study hack. It's the engine of progress. The ability to concentrate and create high-quality work is what drives innovation. So by mastering this skill now, you're really preparing yourself to be a leader in the future. Ultimately, in our noisy, fragmented world, your focused attention is one of the most valuable resources you have. It truly is a superpower. So the only question left is, how are you going to use it?